Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, lads and lasses, males and females. That's all there is, as we all know. You're welcome to the stream, my cheeky and chirpy stream. Welcome everybody. Today's topic is well, it's a question really. Is the tide turning against gender ideology? What do you think out there? Do you think the tide is turning? Do you think it's finally, after all this time, the tide's turning? So is the tide turning against gender ideology? Let me know in the comments and we can chat away. Okay, so I saw an article yesterday, or was it the day before? It was saying that gay rights activists are turning against trans rights activists. Yeah, to be honest, I've been seeing this for quite some time. More and more lesbians, gay men, and bisexuals are speaking out against the trans activists and their trans agenda, if you like, their gender agenda, if you like. And this is a good thing, and I encourage more LGBT people to walk away from gender theory, walk away from an ideology that isn't really doing our society any good. It's not really doing the LGBT people any good. It's not doing women any good. It's not doing children any good. It really is time, to walk away from this disgusting movement. So I'm really glad to see that, gay rights activists are actually turning against the trans rights activists. That's brilliant. Fantastic. It's brilliant. And I did see an article. I can't remember where the article was, but it was a pretty interesting article. I did read it, and yeah, that is what's happening. Just think about what gender theory is happening in our society, with women's sports, to women's rights, to gay and lesbian people who are having to redefine their sexuality to appease an aggressive trans lobby. No, the answer is absolutely no. I mean, no, we won't have trans ideology and the trans agenda ruining women's sports. And thankfully, things are changing, very slow, but it's starting to happen. And no, we won't have a trans ideology that's ruining women's rights. Women's rights, women have rights too, and the gender lobby, the trans rights mob, have no rights whatsoever to take them rights away. They don't have a right to do that. And of course, gay and lesbian people have got rights. Gay, lesbian, and bisexual people have got rights. And why should they have to redefine their sexuality? Why should, they have to redefine their entire existence for an aggressive trans lobby, for an aggressive, trans ideology, which we all know is just silly. We don't have to do that. And thank goodness the tide is finally turning. Right. So, since one last thing though, since when have lesbians and gay people, gay men, identified? When have people identified as lesbians and gay men? This is just silliness, and it's just that the identifying was brought in by the trans lobby in order to just justify their existence. I'm going to identify as a woman. I'm going to identify as this. I'm going to identify as a chicken. Gay and lesbian people don't identify. They never have, and they never did. And this is just silly, allowing the trans lobby to come onto your platform, and do that. So, speak out, and we want more and more people. We need more and more people really to move across and become gender critical like us. It's as simple as that. So moving on, I've lost where I am now. Okay, so as you know, people can only there's only male and female. We all know that. We all know that there's just male and female, and it's just silly to start making out that there's any other. It's silly that this non-binary is silly. So yeah, so I'll just read this comment from Amy. So I just got lost in the void there, got lost in space, I think. So yeah, today I'm identifying as the next prime minister. I'll sort everything out. Exactly. I mean this is crazy that people can identify into this and identify into that. And you've got people identifying disabled that I've seen recently. I mean, what a shocking and sick thing to say. But yeah, so hello Amy. Anyway, I've had a nice stir fry today. I'm losing a lot of weight. My shirt finally fits me, so I'm preparing for the next. I'm preparing for the. Oh, where is it now? The conference. So my clothes should fit me for the conference, but I'm still going to continue on the diet. So yeah, I'm going to have a drink now as well. Yeah, but this business about identifying is just silly. You know, it's been brought on by you know, the trans activists, and it's just really silly. So as you know, you can only identify into another gender because people can't change sexes or gender. Like I've said, you're either male or female. So yeah. So I personally think the tide is starting to turn on gender ideology. It definitely is, and trans activists, and you know, finally their rubbish is finally being brought to the forefront, and people are seeing it for what it is, just stupidity. But I really do think that there is a big fight. There's a massive fight, really. I'm just going to turn that down a bit, actually. There's a big fight, really. You know, that we're going to have to fight. Gender ID, you know, the tide is turning, but I don't think we should become complacent. We do need to speak out. We do need to fight. We do need to sort gender ideology. You know, we do need to sort it out. But everyone out there, let me know. You know, is the tide of gender ideology turning where you are? I know on Turf Island it is, but if you know, let me know where you are, because I know that some terrible things are happening in Germany. I know Ireland has been lost to gender ideology, but it's starting to come round. I mean, people are starting to speak out, and sports. I've noticed the Irish sports are the rugby are kicking trans people out of female sports, because men have got no right to be in female sports. And it's not just bad manners. Been given a platform to cheat. They've also been given a platform to expose themselves, and it's unacceptable. So what we're seeing that's happening to women's sports, we're seeing that children they've been indoctrinated in school with gender ideology, and this shouldn't be happening. And there's no wonder why so many kids are becoming confused about the gender. It's starting in schools. It's on social media, but schools are also participating in it and confusing our vulnerable children which gender they're in. And it's really the vulnerable that they're picking on the most: the mentally ill, the autistic, you know, and people who are vulnerable. That's because let's bear in mind that the overwhelming majority of people are heterosexual. You know, like nearly everybody's heterosexual. So why do we need to indoctrinate nearly everybody into gender theory? You know, it doesn't make any sense if the overwhelming majority don't change the genders. Not many people do. It's a very rarity for somebody to change the genders. And as everybody's hetero, I mean, you know, who uses a correct gender? So why? Who uses the gender they're born in? Everybody does. Most people do. So why do we need to indoctrinate these people? We don't need to indoctrinate. And you know, that's it. So like I say, we shouldn't become complacent. There is still a big fight to remove gender ideology theory from our governments, education, our sports, particularly women's sports. And well, the list is endless. The list is endless. But let's look at some progress that we are making, especially on Turf Island. So the tweet that J.K. Rowling put out, yeah, I wasn't born into a gender. I'm just female based on my sex. That's it. Exactly. And that's exactly the same with me. I'm not born into I don't have a gender. I'm not born into a gender. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the fact of the matter is, you know, we're not born. We are. I'm male, and that's it. You know what I mean? And I can't change that ever. There's no way anybody can change it. And that's absolutely right. And that's exactly the way I feel about it as well. You know, people are not born. And they're not born into a gender. They're just who they are. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. And yeah, I totally agree. Right. So we'll move on. So let's see some good things that's happening to women's sports. So you've got children who are no, I'm moving down there. So like I said, we shouldn't be. So let's talk about the tweet, okay, that J.K. Rowling put out, which inspired millions across the world and brought hero Maya Forstater more into the public eye across the world. So J.K. Rowling tweeted. Okay, one that's been shared so many times, more than what Twitter are putting on there, because if you do share this tweet, it doesn't register. If you like this tweet, you know it does become unliked. Do you know what I mean? So um we really don't know how many people have liked, or so we're talking millions and millions of people across the world that have been inspired by this. So dress however you like. This is what she tweeted out: dress however you like, call yourself what you want, sleep with any consenting adult who has you, live your best life in peace and security, but forcing women out of their jobs for saying sex is real. I stand with Maya. This is not a drill. That's the tweet that J.K. Rowling put out. I could cheat at chess. I'm going to read this from Amy. So I could cheat at chess and start moving any piece same as the queen moves and just claim it's the piece's new identity. That it's a good point, Amy. That's absolutely a very, very good point. Trans ideology just really it just really is silly. It's just stupid. I mean, you know, no, it's yeah. I totally agree. Trans ideology, ridiculous. But a good point, Amy. Very, very good point. Um, so, if you don't know who Maya Forstater is, she took her employer to an industrial tribunal after they refused to renew her employment contract, which I understand was because of her, well, it was because of her gender critical beliefs. And that's what I understand it to be, because it was. So if there are males and females who, you know, i.e. there are males and females who cannot change sex, you know, which actually they can't. Males and females, you know, whether if you're male, you're male, if you're female, you're female, you can't change sex. And I'm not really sure, you know, you can actually invent a gender either. I mean, you know, you can express yourself as whatever you want, but I'm not really sure you can change genders. I'm not really sure what gender is actually. I mean, you know, it's not something, you know, that you can do. And that's the way it is. That's the way biology is. You know, you're male or female, end of, and you can't change that. So we all owe Maya Forstater, who paved the way to protect gender critical beliefs, or gender critical realities, should we say, much to the dismay of her ex-employer and deluded trans activists. Yeah, I mean, Maya Forstater really is a hero, and we'll see that everybody will see in that in time. She's gone down in history, and we'll see exactly in the future what Maya has done for a lot of people. It's really good. The reason why we do it beliefs is in the United Kingdom, we have religious beliefs, we have this beliefs, we have that beliefs in our Equality Act, and that's why it's done. And the beliefs shouldn't just be beliefs, you know what I mean? It's not really beliefs, it's a reality. Biology is biology. You can't change, you know, your sexes, you're male or female, and that's it. And so it's what the majority of people know. You know, it's not, you know, it's what we all know. It's what's in the biology books, it's what's in the science books, and that's never changed. Um, so on winning the case, on winning, when Maya Forstater won the case, okay, J.K. Rowling, her friend, tweeted out the following, and I will mention this tweet: every woman who has been harassed, silenced, bullied, and lost her job because of her sexist beliefs, because of her bullied because of her sexist beliefs, is freer and safer today thanks to the warrior who is Maya Forstater. Um, Yep, so I'll just read that from Amy, because I think I've got that tweet wrong, actually. It reminds me of the old joke, we can update it now. Doctor, doctor, I can identify as a bridge. What's come over you? This morning, 5 cars on a bus and 15 walking people. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, this gender ideology is just stupid. You know what I mean? This identifying as this identifying as that, it's just silly. And I knew there was something wrong many, many years ago. It was quite a few years ago when um, all of a sudden, it basically, people were saying, you know, you're identifying as this, you're identifying as gay, you're identifying as that. And I knew something wasn't right. And this were to pave the way, you know, for transgenderism. It was to pave the way for that, so that they can identify into a different, you know, gender. You know what I mean? And that's it. And it's just silly. It's really silly. So right. So let me go on this. I'll just read this tweet again, because I think because okay, so every woman who has been harassed, silenced, bullied, and lost a job because of her beliefs is freer and safer today, thanks to the warrior who is Maya Fostata. And what Maya that was what J.K. Rowling tweeted out from Maya, from the outcome of that. And that is right. And it doesn't just affect women. I mean, what Maya did, it doesn't just affect women, it affects people like me. I mean, I could lose my job for simply because I believe in biology, you know, and that's really what this is. And so I think what really, you know, Maya did was a milestone. But that's how gender ideology, that's why the tide is turning, because it's cases like this that are being brought up, which is making people freer, you know, freer, less harassed, you know, less silenced, less bullied. Because if I get, you know, I'm not worried about speaking out now, because if I lose any of my jobs, then I can prove that I'm entitled to quite a lot of compensation because of really what Maya did, you know, what Maya did. And I think it's brilliant. So I think this is a really good thing that has definitely turn the tide a little bit on gender ideology. Again, I don't think we should become complacent, but you know, this is big progress on Turf Island, because it means that nobody can be sacked anymore. It means, you know, if you call a man and a woman, you're not going to be sacked for that. You know, if you state that people cannot change sexes, you're not going to be sacked for that anymore. You know, because if they do sack you for that, you know, you can take them to court. You know, if you object to trans ideology being in governments, in our education, in our police force, or wherever for that matter, you can't be sacked. It's a really good progress, what Maya Fostata did. And I think more and more people, I think a lot of people understand what she's done now. And I think they understand that, you know, it's really good what she's done. But I think more and more people will understand the impact that what Maya's had, as time goes on, because there's bound to be more cases that's going to be taken to employment tribunal that are going to use that judgment. In fact, Alison Bailey used that judgment. That's another great case, really. You know, that she took her employer to an employment tribunal, and you know, she's won a lot of compensation. And that judgment was used in Alison Bailey's case. And yeah, we're moving forward all the time. The tide's turning, slow but sure. The tide is turning on gender ideology. I mean, why we have to go through all this, I really don't know. I mean, whoever was responsible for sticking gender ideology and gender theory into our education, how it was allowed into our governments, it's running the police forces, and you know, whoever enforces gender theory and ideology on us, you know, we need to expose these people. You know, we need to stop these people, because it's still going on. I mean, there's still. I mean, I think that things are going to change in the government. I think that the police force are going to have to change the way they do things. But at the moment, it's still there. So, you know, if we've got any whistleblowers out there that are saying, you know, that want to expose people that are pushing this crap in our police forces, for example, in our governments, in our education, particular education, because we need to really stop what's happening to children. You know, please do speak out. You know, contact me. I've got a network of people now who you can speak to. You know, I can put you in touch with them. I can highlight. I mean, this particular show's doing a little bit better than what it was, and we're getting more viewers. Let's get this out there, and let's expose the people who are putting this rubbish, you know, into our society. Yeah, so please do get in touch. So then, to make things better, the big sports trans battleground opened up, and this has really moved things forward. So we've got worldwide outrage erupted after New Zealand competitor, biologically born male Laurel Hubbard, who clearly was unsuitable to be participating in women's sport, competed in the Olympics female weightlifting category. I think that Hubbard transpeaked many people across the world, and because of the outrage that followed across social media, and the newspapers went absolutely crazy on it. Um, it's that was a great one to peak the world, to be quite honest, and I think it did. I think a lot of people got transpeaked and realised this is not fair. And I know that Hubbard walked away with nothing, but that wasn't the point. He It wasn't really the point that he lost. It wasn't really. He shouldn't have been in female sport in the first place. He did lose, didn't he? I'm pretty sure that he did lose. But that's he shouldn't have been there in the first place. New Zealand embarrassed themselves, and they embarrassed the world by putting a man in women's sports, and that's what they did. Um, and I think New Zealand got a lot of rap for that as well. But again, it piqued a lot of people. So I mean, we should be grateful that it did pique a lot of people, because then we got the Will Thomas, now known as Leah Thomas, and who now identifies as a woman, whatever that is. If you can actually do that, which you certainly can't. You can't identify into a different gender, into a different sex or gender. You can't. I don't understand why people are being allowed to go from one place to the, from male to female. You can't do that. But anyway, so Will Thomas, now Leah Thomas, competed against girls in the Pennsylvania, and the Pens cheat became the hashtag and continues today. It's I think Will Thomas probably transpeaked the most out of everything, across not just America but the world. But I mean, unfortunately, Thomas took medal after medal, and he was completely allowed to use the girls' changing rooms despite complaints, concerns, and outrage from the girls themselves, their parents, and many people across the world. And he was just simply allowed to do that. And it's just, I would like to know why a man who exposes himself, a man, however he identifies, exposes himself in the girls' changing rooms and isn't arrested for indecent exposure, because that's actually what it is. This used to be a crime. So can somebody out there let me know when this stopped being a crime? If a man exposes himself in a changing rooms where he shouldn't be, and quite clearly Thomas shouldn't have been in the girls' changing rooms because he's a biological male. Why is he not being arrested? Why is he not being done for a crime? And I think this is what trans activists have done. They've blurred the lines against what's right and wrong with male and female, and this worries me a great deal. It really does concern me. So what I'm hoping is the girls who suffered at the hands of the coach and the University of Pennsylvania will sue at the later date, for negligence, really, for not being looked after properly, for allowing a biologically born male to expose themselves in that changing room, and it wasn't right, really. So anybody who supports this kind of perverted behavior is either perverts themselves, or sex offenders, or sex offender apologists, and none of that is good. Will Thomas, now Leah Thomas, should not have been in them girls' changing rooms. So I'm hoping, and I think I've heard things through the grapevine that they are going to sue at a later date, and I fully support those girls, because I'm totally against the disgusting things that have happened. Really, it's unacceptable. And I like to say this again, that the LGBT alphabet soup people and trans activists cheering this behaviour on, you're not really doing anything for the rights of LGBT people, anti-people, and you're really making a fool of yourself, because people know this is wrong. People are outraged. They're very much outraged about what's happened. And the Leah Thomas incident, and, call him or her Leah Thomas, has caused a lot of upset across the world. And cheering this on isn't really doing anything for you because a lot of people are campaigning. Well, you can see a lot of people are campaigning, okay, to stop this kind of behaviour, because it is appalling behaviour that should never have been allowed. So yeah, I mean, the tide is starting to turn. The tide's definitely starting to turn on Turf Island, because we've even got people in government that are speaking out quite regularly, which is good. I think the new leaders that are coming in, whether it's going to be Liz, whether it's going to be, you know, the other guy, I've forgotten his name now. Oh, this is so embarrassing. But whoever's going to win, do you know what I mean? I think whichever one of them becomes leader, we're going to see a difference in gender. They are going to improve life for people, instead of this gender ideology that's plaguing our society. It's not. So whether it's Liz that wins or Rishi Sunak that wins, they are going to they're going to they're going to act on this. What they're going to do, I don't know. How much they're going to act on, I don't know. And whether I'll be happy, whether we'll be happy about it, I don't know. But I think the tide within the government is turning as well on gender ideology, and that's good. So I can see more changes happening in Turf Island, more progress at removing gender theory from our government, of education, and I think we're going to see more single-sex spaces brought back with either Liz or Rishi, whoever gets in. So this is a positive step, and we've got a lot of groups that have set up. We've got a lot of people speaking out against this disgraceful ideology that's been forced on everybody, which shouldn't have been, really. But thank goodness we've got more and more people speaking out, and thank goodness that the government are going to act more than what they have done in the past. So this is really good. So if anybody wants to mention how gender ideology has been crushed where you are, let me know in the comments. So if you've got any positive stories as well, you don't have to, even if you've got negative stories or positive, let me know in the comments or DM me. Let me know what's happening in your part of the world, because I am interested. I am interested whether you're making ground. I know Turf Island is definitely making ground, but are you making ground where you live? Or are you not making ground? Is things going the other way? Have you got any stories that you want to expose? Have you got gender ideology being pushed in your health service? Have you got indoctrination being pushed in your schools? We want to know about it. If your headmaster is, wherever you are in the world, is pushing gender ideology on the children, let us know what his name is. Let us know who he is, because we do want to expose. We do want to ensure, okay, that gender ideology isn't going to win. And that's it. So I am going to get an email set up, as I keep saying. I'm going to see the best way of doing it and which best way of getting an email. But at the moment, you can DM me on Twitter. You can DM me on GETTR. Okay. There are two platforms that you can definitely do that. Yeah. I mean, that's what you can do. So please don't suffer in silence. Let us know, even positive stories. Let's get all this out there. Let's expose gender ideology for what it is, good and bad. Well, it's all bad as far as I'm concerned, this gender ideology. But if you've got any positive stories about fighting against it, is what I meant to say, then please do get in touch. Yeah, so yeah, that's so is invading spaces where you are, is full intact people accessing women's single-sex spaces. Yeah, let's get this nonsense out in the open. We cannot be complacent. We should never be complacent on gender ideology. There are some strange people out there that are happy for male rapists to be housed with women in prison, and happy for biologically born males to invade and ruin women's sports, and indoctrinate our children with a gender ideology, which we all know is incorrect. We all know is wrong, and we all know it's confusing our children. It's confusing our children. Some children, especially the vulnerables, are getting confused about their gender. This is what's doing it. But there are people happy to do that. And you'd be surprised who these people are as well. I mean, I'd imagine there are some paedophiles behind this, some sex offenders, and I'd imagine, there are paedophile apologists and sex offender apologists also involved. So you'd be very surprised who is behind movements like this. I'm not. I know exactly who's behind things like this. I've dealt with things like this before, and I know exactly the sort of people that are behind this. You know, but it might really surprise you who's behind this nonsense. So nobody should support this silly gender theory. It's a load of bollocks, really. And you know, please do speak out and expose things if they're not entirely right. As always, anyone has any information of any kind of on the subject of gender ideology and think it needs to be highlighted, brought out in the open, like I say, do get in touch. I have a network of people that can help, and I can also highlight on this stream, which has been cross-platformed and watched by quite a few people now across different platforms. Even on YouTube, it's been watched by people, not necessarily when it goes out on stream. So if you're out there, you know what I mean? I usually stream on a Wednesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Turf Island time. Please join us. Please, you know, comment in the comments and, you know, make this stream, you know, quite a, you know, a place to be, a place to socialize. I've got the gender critical disco happening this Saturday at 7 p.m. Turf Island time. That should be quite interesting. It's a silent disco, but we'll be talking about various things as usual. And you can also join in with the comments, so we can sort of chat together, and that'd be good. It'd be good to get this into a sort of chat sort of you know, thing. So, you know, yeah, please join me 7 p.m. usually Wednesday, Saturdays, but I do other days as well. So please you know, join me. But you know, going on to the tide against gender ideology, it's definitely changing. The tide is definitely changing, and it's definitely changing sports in the UK. I mean, we've got first triathlon that have banned biologically born males from their sports. For anybody that's gone through a male puberty, I don't know really why they put that down, because that's going to encourage people to not go through a male puberty in order to participate in sports. I think that needs changing, but I'm confident that it will be changed in time. Then we've got English rugby that's banned all biologically born males over the age of whatever for competing in female close contact rugby. And now Ireland rugby has also followed suit. So more will follow. It definitely will follow. So please do keep speaking out. Please do keep, you know, supporting the people that speak out, and please do keep campaigning to governments. We cannot allow gender ideology, gender theory and trans ideology, which is all one of the same, to rule our society, to basically ruin the very fabric of our society. Nobody asked for trans ideology to come into it, and the overwhelming majority of people don't want it. So now I'm going to ask some questions which people have asked cross platforms. They've DM'd me or they've asked me in the comments. And again, please do feel free to comment on progress that's happened near you, because the world wants to know, and it might transpeak others. It's important that you do speak out, because it will transpeak others. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get as many people transpeaked as possible, so that they also speak out about gender ideology. So it is important. So, you know, if you've got anything to say, DM me, you know, get your own posts up, you know, stream your own shows, do you know what I mean? But let's get this up so that we can you know, transpeak more people. And what else has happened? You know, we had the Kira Bell case as well. I mean, that's transpeak quite a lot of people. That's one of the things that I came over for. I saw what's happening with Kira Bell, and I knew with Kira Bell, what's happened to Kira Bell is horrible. And I saw people saying it's your fault, Kira. How can it be Kira's fault? I mean, Kira Bell went to hospital with regard, she was confused about her gender, and you know, they decided to push her through a medical pathway very, very quickly. You know, she went there for help. They did not help her. They damaged her. And I'd be very, very pleased to see Kira Bell suing. I think Kira Bell is suing. Don't quote me on that, but I know that there is quite a few people now suing the Tavistock. I do hope Kira Bell is one of them, and I do hope she gets lots of compensation, because what's happened is medical negligence, and it's absolutely disgusting. But thankfully, Kira Bell has transpeaked quite a few people. And we've also got LGB Alliance, we've got For Women Scott, we've got um, quite a lot of organizations that have set up as well, and they're also trans speaking people, because they're speaking out and telling trans ideology for what it is. So I'm really, really pleased that we've got these organizations that have set up. Please do support them, please help them, please follow them. You know what I mean? Because the more people that follow them, the more support that they get, the more they can push things forward. And Amy says that we've also got Safe Schools Alliance. Yep, there's Safe Schools Alliance. There's quite a few of them now. You've got the freedom ones as well. Free speech organizations that are setting up. It's really good that we've got all these organizations. I'm really, really pleased. Yeah, so it's great. And it's really helping. It's really helping to stop this nonsense that's got into our society. But these, I'm very much behind all these organisations. It's great what they've done, and I'll be looking forward to seeing when Stonewall, close, when they shut down, and I'm confident that they will. I think that Stonewall, and I don't think Stonewall are going to last, and I think that I'm looking forward to seeing that when they go, and that will really upset quite a lot of people. But I don't think it will upset. I think the majority of people will be quite excited when Stonewall go, and then we're going to be overtaken by these great organisations like Safe School Alliance, like LGBT Alliance, like For Women's Scott, Women's Place. There's quite a lot of them out there now. That's brilliant. So, right. So I'm going to, like I say, answer some questions. They're not all about gender ideology, but I'm going to answer a few questions so that more. I'm answering the questions because basically, people are asking them, and we can get more questions, and it would, move the show forward on that. So, right. So the first question is from Anonymous, who is from Anonymous. I'm not going to mention where they live. They want to know how my diet is going. Well, thank you for asking. I'm on the Slim Fast diet. I'm definitely losing weight on the Slim Fast plan, quite a lot actually. Even this feels like a duvet on me now. This didn't fit me a few weeks ago, so I don't follow the Slim Fast plan to a T. At least I don't think I do, but the weight is definitely dropping off. So thank you for asking, and I should be able to get into my suit, ties, socks, etc. when I go to the conference, which I booked in October. So I'm going to a conference in October, and I'm as you know, I'm slimming down to go to that conference, and nothing fits me. So things are starting to fit again. So I am definitely losing the weight. And Amy says that I'm on the Eat Fast diet. Yeah, I I would like to go back on that actually, because I do miss food. But actually, on the Slim Fast diet, I'm not that hungry. I did have a stir fry today, but you're allowed that on the Slim Fast. You just need to have 2 shakes a day, and I'm not really that hungry. But yes, I'll be back on that Eat Fast diet after I've been to that conference. I do need to eat again, so yeah, yeah, that's. But finally, my COVID weight is disappearing bit by bit. I'm disappearing, and I like it. So that's it. So the second question is, how would you peak somebody? How would you trans peak somebody? Because they've got somebody at work that they need to peak. If there's any advice out there, please put the comments under this stream, because they probably will look at it. If you've got any advice on how you've peaked people out there from this trans ideology and brought them over to reality, okay, let me know, and let this person know as well. This person again is anonymous. I don't mention names because I know that people can get attacked, they can get found, that get attacked. So if they unless they specifically ask me to mention names, I don't. But my advice is to keep on at them. Okay, that's my advice. I've been talking to people as well. Just keep on at them and just keep showing them. There is lots and lots coming out now about gender theory and its ideology, especially on Turf Island. But in Turf Island, we have breaking news every day, from newspapers to a variety of media outlets. Even the leftist Guardian occasionally shock me and report on the bad things about gender ideology. I saw something very recently, but I forget what it was now. But do keep on at people, and do keep showing people what gender ideology is doing to our society, get them on social media. Check out feeds like, I mean, my feed, for example, has got a lot on gender ideology and what it's doing to our society. I report virtually every day on what's happening in the world of gender ideology. I've not reported that much this week because I have been very busy doing quite a lot of things. But my advice is keep on at them, keep throwing these stories at them, and eventually, they'll understand that, they might not agree with, for some reason, a lot of people, when you talk about, biologically born males going into women's spaces, it doesn't seem to be bothered about, men like, well, didn't women say they could do that? I'm not actually sure that women did say they could do that, but it doesn't seem to pique men. But when they're talking about sports, and you've got this, the two people like Leah Thomas and the other one from New Zealand, that is so, it's like, how can that be right? When I'm talking to guys, it's like, how can this be right? So what you might think might pique somebody might not, but some other things might pique them. Sports is definitely piquing a lot of people. When you talk to people about LGBT rights and how the trans ideology is sort of taken over, that it might not, people might not see it. They might not understand it. So examples like sports and all the things that are in the press, keep showing them, keep on them, and keep that stories. The news stories are being reported across the world now. I mean, I'm seeing articles across the world, and more people are being piqued by these articles. And trans ideology and the activists that have pushed the gender theory are losing, and they know it. They certainly know they're losing on Turf Island, but they're losing all over the world because it's such a ridiculous ideology. And when you talk to people about, a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and biology is real and science is real, and all this gender ideology is nonsense, people start to realize what's happening. I think the thing is, at first, that people didn't understand how far this gender ideology had gone. So do keep throwing the stories at them, and if there is anybody who's piqued anybody at work, let me know how you've done it, because we can have that on the stream as well. So please do, you know please, tell me, how, and it will also help other people to pick other people. I'm always chatting to people, and telling them, about trans ideology and trying to bring them across to the gender critical side, and I've succeeded in quite a lot. So you can too, and let's get as much info out there as possible. Stonewall themselves are losing support, and the very people that they claim to represent, Stonewall, are losing their membership as well. So you can even tell people that LGBT people, lesbians, gay and bisexuals, are walking away from their own organisation because of gender ideology. And we are seeing that now. I'm seeing so many people on Twitter and Facebook and a variety of social medias that are speaking out about gender ideology. And these are lesbians, gays, and bisexuals that are speaking out. You've got women speaking out. You've got heterosexual men speaking out. They're all speaking out. But but Stonewall are losing support. You can also say that. And the UK government is waking up. I sense changes in the atmosphere for the future. So keep at them and keep pushing these stories at them. They will peak eventually, I can assure you. Question 3, was there any thunder and lightning where you live in the UK? Yep, we had it last night. It poured down with rain, and I saw so many flashing. It was like the women's changing room being invaded by biologically born intact males. Thank you for that one. Another question is, you asked last week about scenes that you'd like to stream from. Yes, I do remember, and they've said that they like the buildings, like the Capitol building that I put up and the Big Ben. Well, thank you for that. I will, I'll consider those for next month. I've got everything set up for this month. So next month, I'll try and get Big Ben and Capitol building up and get the buildings up, especially for you. Okay, but if anyone else has got any suggestions out there, that a particular scenario that they'd like, let me know. And I'll try and get it. I didn't get the cheese one. I have seen a cafe, but I can't find the cheese one yet. So if I can find a cheese one, I'll put a cheese one up, but I may have a cafe in the future. But yeah, anyway, any suggestions of banners that you've seen or you want to see, let me know, and I'll try and get those scenes set up. And then somebody wanted to know if I'm on True Social. I'm on quite a lot of social media, and I'm definitely on True Social. There is a link in my official website, which is alexbloodfire.com. You can click on the actual link on True Social. A lot more social medias if you want, but you can click on True Social, and you can follow me on there if you so want to do that. So that'd be great. So yeah, my stream next week. Okay. No, on Saturday. Stream on Saturday. Okay. I've got a gender critical disco scenario up. It will be silent because obviously music is under copyright. So yeah, that is yep. So the topic is to be confirmed on Saturday. I haven't got the topic, so I think there's bound to. The reason I leave the topic now is because there's bound to be so much that happens out there, and if I put a topic in, it becomes out of date. So I'm going to confirm the topic on Saturday, probably on the day, to see what I want to talk about. But I have run out of things to say because I'm quite busy doing my other job at the moment, so I haven't prepared for an entire show today. But that's fine. We've got 45 minutes out of it. So thank you for everybody that's popped in and out. Thank you for Amy for joining, and thank you for everybody that's watching the show afterwards, both on the here, on YouTube, and other social medias. Please do like, and again, comment as your heart's desire, because the more that we can put out for people to see what is happening on the gender ideology front, the better. So that's all I've got time for today. I will see you all on Saturday. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and we will reconvene on Saturday. Topic to be confirmed. So thank you. Goodbye, everyone.